Hi, welcome back to my channel. I'm Roxanne and this is everything about Hallmark, except it's a Thursday, and on Thursdays I do a recipe straight from Hope Valley. Well, this took a little bit of a detour. So not too long ago I put up a recipe for a cocktail, a raspberry jam whiskey sour that Lucas Bouchard, no really, Chris McNally shared on his Instagram account. So for 10 years, he was a bartender, a mixologist, and it looked delicious, and I love raspberry jam. I am not a drinker. I had no idea about, what whiskey was like. So we did a little research, and my friend Eddie and I tried to recreate the recipe, and we failed the first time. And the second time I nailed it, and it was really good. Now people ask for it, which is funny because I surely am not the mixologist. However, I do bake. And I do know that Chris is a foodie. I don't know if he bakes. So what I did was I took all the ingredients that are in the cocktail and I created a cake. But the thing is, I always cook from scratch, and not everybody does. So I wanted to experiment with box cakes. And I thought, okay, I'm gonna do this. It took me 4 times to get this recipe down, and it is extremely easy, and you're gonna wow people. They're gonna be like, oh, this is delicious. You spent hours. Now, Chris has a beautiful Instagram account. He says he rarely goes on it, and he almost feels guilty that he'll post something every now and then, but when he does post, he's like quite the photographer, and I'll show you some of, I'm going to steal them from his page. I'll share with you some of his pictures. Now, you might already know what his Instagram account looks like, but if you don't, you should check it out. Here it is. So the first cocktail is the raspberry jam whiskey sour, which is what I used to make the cake. And then the next cocktail is an Italian cocktail, Negroni. And then the last one is a cherry gin fizz. Okay, nice, right? So I am going to start off with a boxed pound cake. This is the one I have. And I'm following the directions on the back, but then adding a few things. So I am simply going to cut this and put it right in. Now, my mom, she never made anything boxed. She was a chef, and she just made everything from scratch. She said it was actually cheaper. That's why she did it, not because it didn't taste good or it wasn't good for you. I'm telling you, I tried this 4 different times, and I finally perfected it. It's really good. So if you have any lumps in there, just break them down. And then there's 2/3 cup of water. You can add milk. I'm just going to go with the water. I do a few little things to the batter just to spice it up a little. Not spicy, but to make it taste good. And then you put the butter in. They tell you to put a 1/2 stick of butter. They also say you can use a spread, but the spread has to have a certain amount of fat. Look, if you're having a piece of cake, you should be enjoying it. It should be full fat. Go right ahead with it. So I'm going to cut this up. It doesn't say to melt the butter. It doesn't say to make it soft either. So I'm going to cut it up a 1/2 stick. I did it before, and it does make the batter thick. There are some little beads or lumps of butter throughout it, but it comes out delicious. So actually, it took me 4 times to do this, not because of the cakes. The cakes have been amazing. I tried one with a lemon first, then I tried another type. It's the sauce and soaking the cake. So I'll get to that. Now, in his recipe, him being Chris, he has cherry liqueur because it is a whiskey sour. So his recipe was for a cocktail, if I'm repeating myself, I'm sorry, a raspberry jam whiskey sour. So there's cherry liqueur in there. Oh my God, this stuff is delicious. So I'm straight up, oh, by the way, I have all, again, the measurements will be at the end, but I do believe this is 2 tablespoons. Just dump it right in. And then I'm going to take it over, give it a little mix, but I'm going to take it over to the mixer. You can do it by hand, but oh my goodness, you need like some major muscles for that. It also calls for 2 eggs. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put 1 egg, full egg in there. Full fat egg, because you know the fat comes from the egg yolk, the whole egg in there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to separate this. I'm going to put 1 egg yolk in there. I'm just separating it with my impeccably clean hands. Just straight up, don't know if you can see it. And the whites I am going to beat. And the reason why I'm doing that is, one, it is in the whiskey sour recipe, but it also adds, oop, my oven's ready. It adds this like lightness to the pound cake, because a pound cake can be super heavy and dense, but this just gives it this delicious flavor, okay? So I didn't waste anything. It is 2 eggs like the recipe calls for. It's just the 1 egg I'm separating, and I will show you that in a minute. So I gotta go wash my hands, and then I'm gonna take you over and show you what this looks like, because I'm going to beat that up, and then I'll show you the egg whites, which I'm gonna do with a hand mixer straight up in this little Tupperware thing that doesn't even have a lid. And that's just the extra step that I'm adding. Then I'm gonna show you how to add the jam, the raspberry jam to it, because I will tell you, if you try to just put half of the cake in the bundt pan and then put the raspberry jam, it will sink to the bottom, and you want a nice swirl, and I'm gonna show you a trick for that, so I'll be right back. This step is very easy. It's your basic mixing, nothing fancy. Just put it on the standard mixer and incorporate everything. I also beat the egg whites till they are nice and fluffy and have a peak, and then we'll fold that into the batter. Okay, so it's been mixed, and it's quite thick, as you can see. See that? Thick. So I have that all mixed up. Now here comes the trick. I'm gonna do 2 different things to this batter. I'm gonna scoop out a little so I can incorporate it with the raspberry. That way it won't sink to the bottom. And then the rest of the batter, I'm gonna add the fluffy egg white into it. It just gives it this, I don't know, I can't explain it, deliciousness. So I need a spoon. I'm gonna spoon out some of the cake batter. It's like a regular soup spoon. I've got 1, 2, 3, and 4. Look, they're generous. 4. And then in here I have a 1/3 cup of raspberry jam. So when you make the cocktail that Chris makes, you put a generous bar spoon of the raspberry jam in the drink, and it is amazing. And there's an egg white in it, and you shake it up and it emulsifies and it rises to the top. It's a beautiful presentation. And I'll show you, of course, my picture, which is nothing like his. I want to lick this. Let me put this in the sink. All right, so you just give this a little mix and a swirl. All right, so here we go. Got that all done. I'm gonna put that here. Next, I'm gonna fold this in, which means I'm not gonna do a hard stir. I'm gonna scoop it out and just gently fold it around. You might see little fluffs of it here and there, and that is okay. You'll see a folding motion. Fold. Now, if you skip this step and you don't do it, that's okay, but I'm telling you, it makes a lightness to the cake, because you know that pound cake can be heavy. And pound cake tastes great with a sauce, or in this case, since we're making a whiskey cake, usually you poke holes in it and it soaks it all up. I couldn't stand it. That's why I kept redoing the recipe. It made the cake so sticky and gunky, it was unappealing. So I came up with something a little different. Now this is only, again, 1 egg white. Nice and fluffy. You want to get it all in there. I always say Chris, I don't know about Chris, he looks like he would have impeccable manners, but Lucas Bouchard has impeccable manners. Now I'm wondering, you think Lucas is going to cook for Elizabeth? I mean, he has help that cooks for him, because Elizabeth is not the best of chefs or cooks. She's been learning though. I remember in the early days when she and Rosemary would compete with their cooking, because Rosemary was trying to win back her fiance for a whole hot minute, Jack, but of course he didn't care. Jack, he could cook himself, and he loved that Elizabeth was trying to learn. And I'm wondering, can Lucas cook? Will he cook for her? That could be funny. All right, so it's fluffed in there. So now what's going to happen is I'm going to take my pan, my bundt pan. You can butter and flour it. I have pan one here. And I'm going to just get it all onto the side. Some of you don't like pan, GMO. I think this is without, no artificial flavors or anything in here, so there's no GMOs and stuff in there. Some of you have your own version of it. Make sure it's generous. So I'm gonna do a layer, Then I'm going to put this in and then another layer. And it's going to bake according to the instructions, which is, I believe, let me put on my glasses for this. I believe it says it is, for about 40 minutes on 350. And by the way, my oven is preheating. So here we go. Oh, you'll see some of the fluff as you do it. The fluff of the egg white. That pretty, very, very pale pink color. So I got half of the batter that's left over here. Oh, I see some lumps of butter. Looks good, very decadent. The best part is I'm gluten-free and I can't even eat it, but I'll taste a little. All right, now here's the swirly part, and put it right down over here. And that's what's going to keep it from sinking to the bottom. I want to get all of it, because this, I don't know, raspberry is like my favorite flavor. I love raspberry popsicles, raspberry jam, raspberry iced tea, but not the artificially kind. The kind that the tea bag itself has been brewed. I mean, the tea bag has been brewed with the raspberry in it. Okay, so I'm gonna smear this around, as you can see I'm doing. I don't know if you could look into there. Oh, almost lost it. Yes. So my mom and grandmother were chefs, and they didn't always let me in their kitchen, but my neighbor did. Now, Lucas Bouchard, if you make this cake for Elizabeth, let us know. Chris McNally, if you try this, if you turn your cocktail into a cake, could you let us know? I would love to see what you think. Even if you're like, that's okay. And the same with you. If anybody tries this, let me know. You like it, you like it. Some will hate it. It's not a big deal. All right. We just have to be nice in our delivery. We don't have to be mean. Oh, this was disgusting. Try again, fail. Let's just be nice. Oh, it didn't work. Or, oh, I loved it. Just like the first time I made the recipe of the cocktail, it was a fail. But of course, that is not Chris's fault. I'm no mixologist. And I had a mixologist with me, and I actually wound up knowing more than he did. He was more like a comedian. If you haven't seen the video, you should see it. If for nothing, you'll get a good laugh. Okay. Let me scoop this all out. Every last drop. It's all in there, and I'm going to pop it in the oven for about 40 minutes, and I will be back. Alrighty, so as the cake cools, because it's finished baking, you want to make the sauce. So it should cool for about a half hour before you try to turn it over and invert it onto your cake dish. I'm going to put it right on top of here. Some people like to poke holes in it and take the sauce that we're about to make and put it all, or the glaze, all throughout it. It makes for a very sticky cake. I didn't enjoy it. So instead, I'm making a sauce or a glaze. You could put it on the side with the cake, and I will show you how that works. And everything that's left over you could put into a little jar, which I will do, and you can always reheat it if all of the cake isn't eaten at one time, and you can still serve it. You can nuke it in the microwave, or you can pop it back in the pan if you want. The butter solids do come to the top, but it will all redistribute once you go and heat it up. Okay, so that was a half a cup of sugar. This is a half a cup of whiskey right in there. And then you're going to put a stick of butter in. And because it's a whiskey sour, 3 tablespoons of lemon juice. I squeezed it from a lemon. I didn't use the bottled, which is fine because it has a good pH balance. I'm just straining it so there are no seeds, because there are a multitude of seeds in here. And I just put it through a little strainer. Make sure I get all the goodness. The pulp and seeds are in there. And then I'm gonna put the stick of butter, and I'm gonna heat it on the stove. And as soon as it starts to melt and emulsify and mix up, you take it right off the heat. Okay, all right, here we go. Look how delicious. It's all frothy. And this cooks out the alcohol, but the flavor is intense and it's still in there. I cannot wait to bathe the cake in this deliciousness. Okie dokie. So it cooled. And some people will poke holes into it and pour the whiskey sauce that I made right onto it. Like I said, it kind of gets sticky to me. So first I'm just going, it's still a little warm, just going to invert it. Could like lift it a little to test it. Okay, it came out. That's the scariest part. Now we're gonna bathe it with the most delicious whiskey sauce. I'm just gonna brush it on lightly, slice a piece, and then put more on the side. It's fine. So, bathe it, and then you can let it sit and soak, and then you can do it again. But again, it makes it sticky. So I'm gonna do it just one time around. And then I'm gonna slice a piece for you. Okay, so I'm gonna slice a piece off. I don't know, I don't want it to fall apart. It falls apart, I'm gonna be honest with you. It can fall apart when you cut it. So you just wanna be careful. Oh, the stage. Ooh, this had a nice swirl on it. Woohoo! I don't know if my hand's in the way. Ooh, and you can put a little bit of the sauce on the side with a glaze. I keep calling it a sauce. Or you can dab it on this way. It soaks right in because it is a pound cake. And that's it. Oh my goodness. Can you see? I'll come up close.
Yay, it's delish.
Okay, Chris McNally. It's Roxanne here. I turned your raspberry jam whiskey sour cocktail into a cake. I hope you try it. Let me know what you think. I hope you try it. Let me know what you think. If you out there don't like it, it's fine. Tell me. Let me know. If you love it, yay. Okay, you have a good one. Good night.
Okay, here are the ingredients for the cake and then for the sauce. Thank you for tuning in. Next Thursday, I will share a recipe from Hope Valley, straight from Elizabeth's kitchen to Lucas Bouchard as a thank you gift.